All right, look at us. We finally got everything connected and hooked up. And woo, we are here. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to My Sewing Room's Facebook and YouTube. And we are here today to talk a little bit about straight stitching. Oh, I know. Such an interesting topic. Anyways, let's do a few greetings. I'd like to thank you all for joining us on either Facebook or YouTube. And our Facebook, of course, is mysewingroom.ca. And our YouTube, if you go to YouTube, it is mysewingroom.ca. But this time the dot is spelled D-O-T. So if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube programming, it is there. And there's lots of videos and lives and things there. We've been recording since COVID. So we do have quite a collection of videos and things on our YouTube. And there's our first person signed in this morning. Good morning, Glenda. All right, here we are for another beautiful day. Want to thank everybody for all their likes, their loves, their comments, and when they share us. Morning, Ruth. It is wonderful to have all the people, join us. It's really cool. So I do have a few shout outs this morning. These are to the people who watched last week's Tuesday show. So we probably have a lot of the same repeats, but hello, and thank you. Ken F., Teresa W., who has definitely got some UFOs that she's working on, Carol G., Glenda I., Nicole C., Annette W., Ruth C., Carol D., Tina B., Michelle G., Ann L., Vivian H., Lana F., Helen O., Lana T., and Dorothy T. So those are the ones who commented last Tuesday on the show. So thank you very much for that. It's always wonderful. Okay, so I have a whole show for us on straight stitching. But before we start that, dear Marjorie in our shipping and receiving just received some new fashion fabrics. So I'm here to introduce them. Good morning, Nicole. Good to see you, or at least see your name. I can't see your face. All right. Anyways, I just want to introduce you to some new fashion fabric that has just come into the store. So let me get the close-up so you can have a look. This very first one is like a little brocade. It's got tone on tone, and this one has butterflies on it. It's really pretty. It is a natural color. They call it linen, and it's willow. It is 62% cotton and 38% linen. So that's kind of fun, but it's a brocade. It's not smooth like some of the other linens we've had. Okay, next one. These come in different colors as well. This next one is linen. This is cotton linen. So let's have a look at this one. Of course, this one is kind of a green. Can you see that it's green? It's hard to tell. It looks gray to me, but this is green. And it has that natural, it looks kind of slubby with little flubs in it, kind of woven, but that's a linen this time. As I say, it is 55% linen, 45% cotton. And gee, that camera's not picking up that green worth a darn, is it? Okay, let's see what else. Okay, now this one that I'm going to show you is actually, again, a linen, but this one is silky knoll. And it is actually 85% rayon and 15% linen. That's really pretty too, with the lines of, and it's so soft. Okay, that must be the rayon part of it. It makes it very soft. But we got in quite a few bolts of these different kinds of linens of fashion fabrics. This is the last one that was different than all the others, and this one is 100% organic cotton. We don't normally get a lot of organic cotton in, but this one says it is organic cotton. It's 100%. This one is the stripes navy and white. And these are about 54 inches in length, these ones. But that one I can see just making the cutest pair of trousers with. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh Oh, cool. Anyways, kind of like a ocean nautical theme to that one. Anyways, those are our newest, latest, beautiful fashion fabrics that have come in. I'm just going to unload them out of my area so that we can talk other stuff. All right. See, that one does, it looks green there, but it looked kind of gray. Well, it kind of looks kind of gray in the picture, but it is actually really green. All right. So those are the new fashion fabrics that have come in, and they've just arrived. So Marjorie gave them to me so that we could talk. All right. Now, I thought, you know what, it might make a fun series is to talk about sewing a machine stitches. And of course, the source of all my intelligence is this, the Big Book of Stitching by Bernina. So there it is, Big Book of Stitches by Bernina. I really enjoy it. You don't have to have a Bernina to use this book. It has lots of interesting, wonderful things to talk about, topics, tidbits, how to use certain feet, all that sort of stuff. So today we're going to work out of the Big Book of Stitches. So are you ready for a little bit of history? Oh my goodness, there's Miss Thimble. She's come on. Good morning. Oh, Brenda. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Dorothy. Hi, Annette. Hi, Eva. Thank you for catching me live. Yeah, okay, very good. So, talking about stitches. Straight stitch seemed to be, is where it all began for sewing. It started with a straight stitch, two threads coming together to lock and form a stitch. But for many decades, that's all we had was the straight stitch. And if everybody remembers their Singers way back when, beautiful straight stitch machines, for decades, that's the only stitch in a sewing machine. And then there was no zigzags, no buttonholes, no reverse button. And then came a miracle. It's called the zigzag stitch. And this was invented and patented by Helen Blanchard in 1873. But it didn't show up in a home sewing machine until 1936. Can you imagine? Wow, it's been a while. So I just thought I'd let you know a little bit about our little Helen Blanchard. She is the inventor of the zigzag stitch. She's received 28 patents between 1879 and 1915. 22 of them involve sewing and sewing machines, and those included an improved sewing machine needle and a machine for stitching hats. So there's a lady who found a need and definitely filled it. Yeah, it's amazing. So that's a little history on where these stitches came from, why we only had one and two at a time. But now you guys all have wonderful sewing machines, and they have practical stitches, the everyday utility stitches. You have so many different buttonhole stitches that you can select from. You have alphabet letters, decorative stitches, and quilting stitches. So, they've come a long way since 1936. So that's beautiful. So I thought today we might start with some practical stitches. And the most common one, of course, is the straight stitch. A lot of times we use it for reinforcing seams, overcasting edges, straight stitch seams, attaching lace, all of that sort of stuff. But I'm going to show you some in action. Well, I'm not going to show you action, but I'll show you where I used it in some of my projects, which is kind of fun. So let's do a little bit. The simple straight stitch It is the foundation for home sewing machines, no matter the size, brand, or model. And it has been on every sewing machine since the beginning and is the most used one by almost every stitchers every day. It's used for construction techniques such as basting, seaming, gathering, as well as finishing techniques as in hemming and top stitching. The straight stitch is also used for decorative techniques such as quilting, thread painting, and pin tucks. And sewing machines that allow you to adjust the length and width of the straight stitch to offer you more variety. And it's just an absolutely wonderful stitch. And of course, you can adjust its length anywhere from really tight where you're in one hole and not going anywhere for a knot. To sewing on things, and then all the way to a big stitch where you have basting. So that's really cool. Hi Rita, I'm glad you could join us. All right, so let's get started on this straight stitch techniques. Now there's lots of them. So to start with, the first one, of course, we use is to join two pieces of fabric together. Now you probably have it on your machine. Let me borrow the Kleenex box for a minute so I can prop these up. You probably have what Bernina calls a number 1C, or a number 1D. Those are your regular feet. And if you look at them, let's open up one. You'll see that it has an ice opening and it has a stitch down the middle. A little line, oh, there we go, little line, so you can see, you can follow the stitch line on your fabric. So that's probably the first stitch everybody learns, is just to put two pieces of fabric together. It's more of a close sewing thing, definitely for regular stitching. You can also get those feet in a clear version with a clear foot, so you can see where you're going with the clear foot. So that's what Bernina offers. Brother has the same, and I assume that all other machines have exactly the same foot. They use it for just regular stitching, for temporary basting, and if you can adjust the length on it. All right, so let's have a look at some just regular stitching projects. So I've used my number 1 regular foot. They also call it a reverse pattern feed foot. And I used it first off. I hear rattling in my bag here. For just putting my bag together. Just sewing up the sides. Sewing the seams. I look like I've trimmed all these ones. But it's just regular, just stitching across the top, putting things together. So this was the backpack, easy backpack pattern that we made online. I would say it was a couple of years ago now. It's the easy backpack one. And all it requires is straight stitching. I did use a little zigzag to finish off the ends, or you could do a French seam and finish them off. But this just was regular stitching. So it was kind of fun. Another thing that I did with regular, just normal stitching, of course, is my little zip bag. I like my quick zip bag. It was fun. I learned how to put a zipper in with that one. That was another foot we used, but straight stitching. That's all it took to get us where we're going. Now, also, okay, so that's for the number 1 straight stitch. Those are some fun things that you can do and make. Another one that we use all the time as quilters, of course, is our 1/4-inch seam, a straight stitch 1/4-inch seam, right, Helen? Yeah, so if anybody is a quilter, you will probably have this next set of feet, which is for Bernina a 37D. We also have a C, but I didn't have one in stock. 57, 57D. The big difference between these ones is it has a guide, and if you have the really big machine, you would be using the 97 foot. And of course, that's for making all those beautiful blocks we've been working on. And you get that nice 1/4 inch seam. Oops, slide it in. This was, remember, this was the maple leaf block we made this month. The month before, we made Annie's Choice, and again, it was all 1/4 inch seams. And there's that block. So quilters know straight stitch. The one thing about doing straight stitch, I'm going to open up my thing and show you, is what they call a straight stitch plate. So straight stitch plate, if you can look at it, has 2 small holes. It has openings that's just large enough for a needle to go down. This is really key for making great 1/4 inch stitching on quilting blocks, but also when you're working with straight stitch on garment fabric, like the very soft tulle and things, because it doesn't push it down. If you can use your ordinary, what I call the smiley face, it's the regular one with a larger opening. Sometimes really light fabric like silk and stuff might get squeezed down in there as you're doing your straight stitch, so you could always change over and use your single stitch plate. So quilters love single stitch plate. It makes that 1/4 inch so nice, very fine. So that's another use for straight stitch, and of course for a straight stitch plate. Yeah, I know. Lots of things you can do with a straight stitch. Let's carry on and introduce you to a few other things that you can do with that wonderful foot. Okay, next, we already did those ones. Let's look at what I call top stitching. And I did this on this lovely guy, our little backpack. And what it is just did a straight stitch to reinforce all the way around on my pocket. All the way around. So that's just top stitching using that number 1 foot, and away we go. The other thing you can do is edging. And I'll show you my tea towel I made. The edging on the tea towel, and you see it's very close to the edge. And what I did to get that technique was use my number 10 C or a 10D, because these ones have a little guide down the center. It's like the edge foot, a stitch in the ditch foot, and you'll see it has a little guide. And then you can just stitch right down along there, put the guide there, move your needle over just a bit. So in this case, you would not use your straight stitch plate. You would make sure that you have your smiley face plate on, because you're going to move your needle over just a tad to be on the other side of the guide, and then as it holds the fabric, it just stitches along nice and even. So that is the edge stitch. It also a straight stitch, which is really cool. Anyways, I like that. All right, so what else do we have that's straight stitches? Let's have a little look. All right, so we did top stitching, we did edge stitching, we did regular stitching. One place that you may find all of those would be in garment stitching. And it's so good that we had some garment fabric. I don't know if you guys all remember my little Easter vest, and Easter's coming up here. I made an Easter vest, and little did I know much about it, but here we go. I did hemming. And I look at the hem and think, wow, that's not a very good hem. But hey, that was my first go. But you hem with your regular number 1 foot. What else did I do? I did some top stitching. No, maybe not on this one. But I did edge stitching. If you look at the edge of my little thing, I did did that little number 10 foot all the way around. And I used it to tack down my collar at the top. So that's really cool. Anyways, you too can make garments if you have a fern that helps you out and helps you make garments for you. But that was my garment project. So if you're interested in making garments, like we have that brand new fabric that came in, There's a cute little Belvedere waistcoat, sort of like my vest. This is from our Thread Theory collection. We also have the Closet Core collection, and our staff has been so good in putting these out at the front. As you come in, you get to see these right away. So that, and we do have pattern printing services here. Tyler prints for you. They are $5 a page, so you can get a pattern printed if you don't find what you're looking for and find it online. We'll print that for you. So one thing we didn't mention, and I want to just let you know, in order to get good results, of course, you need to have the right needle for the right fabric that you're working with. Quilters, we actually have our own quilting needle. And they come 7511 and 9014. The 7511, of course, is for your piecing, so it's very fine. You can use a cotton, something like a Fina. It's 100 weight, or 60 weight, sorry. And it works really, really well with those needles for straight stitching. And then, of course, if you are doing clothing, of course, many different needles. You can do the universal, which I use on a lot of stuff, Sharp or Microtex for a lot of the different fabrics, or jeans needle for denim. And then, of course, we want to use a poly thread with those because it has a little stretch to it. So what makes a good straight stitch? The right presser foot, the right stitch plate, the right needle, and the right thread. So those are things to keep in mind when you're making a really good straight stitch, whether you're quilting, whether you're sewing garments, whether you're making fun details and backpack projects. You got to keep in mind what you're trying to achieve and how to get there, right? All right. I know I blabber on and on and on, but I just wanted to talk about that straight stitch, which we use all the time, and how to make it perfect and how to make it just right. So, just helping out there. All right, I've got a few announcements before I sign off today. First off, today on Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday, we have our social sewing if you want to come down. Deb's been very good, cleaned all the tables, emptied the garbage, the irons are ready to go. So if you like to come and sew with us, social sewing, it's $10 plus tax, and it starts at 10:30 in the morning and it runs till 4:30 in the afternoon. And so Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this week. Tomorrow, I'm so excited, is the Return to Simpler Times block of the month. It is month 2. So that class starts at 10:30 in the morning, and you can come and do it right here unless you're doing it virtually. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. Okay, and on Friday, quilting first class. It goes from 1:30 to 4:30, and this is their last class, so they'll be putting their quilts together. Their blocks will be together. They'll have their borders on, and then, of course, it starts the actual quilting and binding. So they should have a lovely, lovely day, a lovely time of it. I just want to mention that our Kimberbell event is full. Just add butter. I put people on the wait list because Anne said we could always get more kits. They just won't be here for the event. She would record the class, and then you would get the recording and the kit and do it that way after the actual Saturday class. So keep that in mind. We have We Care Wednesday, sewing some beautiful purses for So Powerful. And still looking for that last person to fill the Long Arm Renter certification on Saturday, March 14th. That's $150 plus tax. It goes from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30, and that will train you to use our long arms, and then you can rent them at $30 an hour. Now, if you prefer not to do that and you do what I do, bring it into Kyle, who does a beautiful job, and Doris as well. You can do that as well. It's right now for that service, it's about 3 weeks out. So just keep that in mind if you have something that you need to have quilted, in the short term. It's about 3-week wait list. So just put that out there. So I talked about our lovely pattern printing, our quilting service. I got a couple of jokes for you. Are you ready? Why did the sewing machine go to therapy? It had too many tension issues. So if your machine is having a tension issue and you're not getting that beautiful straight stitch, please come in and see Michael, Harrison, and Zorro in the machine department. They service Brother Bernina Burnett, Handy Quilter, and Titan Machines. And they are at about 2 weeks. They're really just getting them out there for you. So if you're looking for that. All right, that's my announcements for today. And I have one more joke before I sign off, and that is, what did the fabric say to the sewing needle? You've got me in stitches, and hopefully you will be doing some wonderful stitching on your projects in the next couple of days. I will see you guys back here on Thursday for another Facebook, YouTube edition, and I can't wait to see you.